Hi, and welcome to another askBlueLion tutorial. For more free tutorials like this one, check us out on the web at www.askBlueLion.com. My name is Jay, and today I'm going to be walking you through on how to install WordPress on your quotaless.com account. So let's get started. The first thing you need to do is open up a web browser. Just wait for this to show up. All right, and then the first thing you want to do, of course, is log into your quotaless.com account. So we're just going to go to quotaless.com. And we're just going to scroll down to the control panel login, type in our username and our password, hit enter and log in. Okay, and actually before we actually install WordPress, we're going to kind of do something ahead of time just to make our lives a little bit easier. So what we're going to do first is actually create the database portion of WordPress. So to do that, we need to click on MySQL Management. And if you scroll down, you'll see pretty much the section where you can create a database. It's the very first step. So we're going to actually create the database. We're going to put in WP here, short for WordPress, and we're just going to go ahead and click Create Database. Okay, so it's creating the database. Okay, the database has been created. And the next step that you need to do is actually create the database user. So step 2, create user. We're going to create a database user, and we're going to use the same naming convention as the database. So we're going to put in WP, short for WordPress, and then it's going to ask you to type in a password. So we just need to create a password for the database user. Put down whatever password you like, but make sure that you write all of this information down because you're going to need it later. So we're going to go ahead and type in the password, and we're just going to click on Create User. Okay, so it's going to go ahead and create the user. Okay, so the user has been created, and the last step in the database portion is to actually assign privileges to the user. So you're pretty much tying the database user to the database itself. So what we're going to do here is click on Assign Privileges. Pretty much this is a section. This is the database portion, the database name, and this is the database user. So we're just going to go ahead and click Assign Privileges. So it's assigning the privileges now. Okay, and actually if you scroll down, you will notice for number 4 that we have a username, the database user we created, and the database name, which is the database we created. And this kind of just gives you a brief summary of all the different privileges that the database user has. Okay, so that pretty much wraps up the database portion. So now let's go ahead and install WordPress. So to do that, let's go back to the control panel. We'll click on Control Panel here, and we'll scroll on down to Application Installer. So click on Application Installer, scroll down a bit, and you'll see all the different types of scripts that you can install within your quotaless account. In this case, we're actually going to be trying to install WordPress, so let's click on WordPress. And before you actually click install, notice here you have a box called Target Directory. The Target Directory is going to be where you're going to be installing WordPress to. So let's use blog, B-L-O-G, as an example here, and let's go ahead and click install. Okay, Now this doesn't look too good. This looks almost like an error page, but it really isn't. All it's telling you is that you need to create a configuration file in order to install WordPress. So to do that, all you really need to do is click on the link here that says create a wp-config file for your WordPress. So let's click on that link. And if you scroll down, it'll actually tell you it's looking for the database information. So pretty much all the stuff that we set up earlier with the database, we've already taken care of. So we can kind of just scroll on down and click continue since we've already done all the database portion. Okay, so now if you scroll down a bit, it's going to ask you for the database name. So the database name is going to be our quotaless.com username, which in this case is wordpress, and then there's going to be an underscore, and then the database name was wp-wp. You should have written all of this information down when you were creating the database, just so that it would be handy for you right now. The username is going to be the database username, which in this case is the same thing. It's going to be wp. And then the password is the database password that we created earlier. So I'm going to go ahead and type that in. And then the database host, we leave as local host because the database is actually on quotaless.com, so you can leave that as be. And the table prefix is just an option if you are going to be having more than one WordPress installation. In this case, you're not going to be, so you can just leave that the way it is and just click submit. And there you have it. All right, Sparky, according to WordPress, you're pretty much all ready. You've configured your wp-config file and you're ready for the installation. So if you click on the link, run the install on the bottom here. The famous 5-minute WordPress install. So now it's asking you for your blog title. This is where you would put in whatever you want your blog title to be. So I'm going to put in Blue Lion blog, where it all happens. And then it's going to ask you for your email address. You can just put in your email address. I'm just going to put in admin@askBlueLion.com. And then there's a little checkbox here that says, allow my blog to appear in search engines like Google and Technorati. If you're going to be trying to get as many people as you can to your blog, of course you're going to want that checked, so let's leave that checked. And then let's just click on Install WordPress. Success. So your WordPress is now installed. Grab a pen and paper because you're going to need this temporary password that it generated for you. The username is going to be admin, and then the temporary password, which is a randomly generated one, is going to be written right over here. So let's jot that down because we're going to need that. Okay, and then if you scroll down a bit, it's going to actually give you the login address where you would log into the administrative part of your WordPress. So let's click on that. And this is what the administrative login for WordPress looks like. So we're just going to try and log in here. We're going to type in our username, admin, and the password, which was the password from the previous page, which you should have written down. And then we're just going to click on login. And there you are. You have your WordPress blog all set up. This is the administrative console of WordPress. And there you have it. WordPress is now installed. If you have any questions or any other, I guess, issues with this, please feel free to check us out on the web. Again, the address is www.askBlueLion.com. This is Jay. I hope you found this tutorial helpful. And I guess if you have any questions, you can also email us at admin@askBlueLion.com. All right. Thanks.